SAO is terrible. Transformers Dark of the Moon is way better. From the explosive action and top-notch special effects to a storyline that actually keeps you entertained, Dark of the Moon blows SAO out of the water.
Apollo 11 being connected to the discovery of Transformers is a reference to Ghosts of Yesterday, a tie-in prequel novel of the first Transformers movie. The novel was written by Alan Dean Foster, based on a story by David Kine. Sentinel Prime was modeled after actor and producer Sean Connery. Sean Connery was even offered the voice of Sentinel Prime, but he declined the role. The rabbit toy is a reference to Moon from Beast Wars 2, Super Lifeform Transformers, 1998. Moon is a celestial rabbit who lives on the moon. Since the movie's subtitle is Dark of the Moon, that's very fitting. You can see a poster of the Dandy Warhols here. The Dandy Warhols is an American alternative rock band formed in Portland, Oregon in 1994.
Someone where Spock goes nuts.
Brains and Wheelie are watching the Amok Time episode from Star Trek, the original series. This actually foreshadows the big twist in the movie when Sentinel Prime turns on the Autobots. Spock was originally played by actor Leonard Nimoy, who also voices Sentinel Prime in this movie.
What if she dumps us like the last girl?
Excuse me, you like her.
This is a reference to actress Megan Fox. She played Sam's former love interest in the previous two Transformer movies. However, Megan Fox was fired from this movie by Steven Spielberg after comparing Michael Bay to Adolf Hitler. This is the same exact air freshener that Bumblebee had in the first Transformers movie. Optimus Prime's trailer in this movie is similar to the original trailer from the Transformers, 1984. It even has that one decorative stripe along its side. The Autobots are able to use weapons while they're in vehicle mode. This is a reference to the Omnibots. They were the only factions of Autobots who were able to do that.
Remind me of like an Asian Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders is a reference to Harlan David Sanders, the founder and symbol of Kentucky Fried Chicken. The extra walking past in the background is Jesse Heyman. He's also known as the world's greatest extra. Wheeljack, also known as Q, is modeled after Albert Einstein. Furthermore, his personality is based on the Disney character Ludwig von Drake.
You said you were assistant curator. When you see the guy on Space Mountain?
Space Mountain is an indoor roller coaster at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida.
It's a beautiful building, you guys, like the Starship Enterprise in here.
This is yet another Star Trek reference. Starship Enterprise is the name of several fictional spacecraft from the Star Trek series. Megatron's alternative mode in this movie is a Mack Titan tanker truck. This is a reference to the character Scourge. Director Michael Bay has compared Megatron in this movie to Colonel Kurtz in the 1979 movie Apocalypse Now. Here's what he said. He's hiding in the jungles of Africa, nursing his wounds and vainly hiding his pulverized visage while plotting, what else? Revenge.
All hail Megatron.
Megatron's first words in this movie are, "All hail Megatron." This is a reference to the comic series of the same name released in 2008. All Hail Megatron was the second major act of IDW Publishing's first ongoing comic universe. It was meant to be a soft reboot. The Decepticons camp is located in Africa. This is a reference to Beast Wars, Transformers from 1996. The Maximals and the Predacons crash-landed in Africa. You can see a hand from the Tomb of the Primes here. The Tomb of the Primes was the hiding place for the Matrix of Leadership in Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. This foreshadows how the Matrix of Leadership will be important later on in the movie. This is Miley Flanagan, best known as the English voice actor for Naruto Uzumaki from the Naruto anime series. The Shuwa milk that Jerry is drinking here is later spotted in the sequel, Age of Extinction. Joshua Joyce was drinking Shuwa milk in that movie.
It is code Pink, as in Floyd.
Pink Floyd is a reference to the English rock band formed in 1965.
This is exceedingly Japanese.
This is a reference to how Transformers was originally a Japanese property. The Transformers toy line is based on Takara's Diaclone and Microman toy series.
They never make it easy, do they?
The distinct tones of the copier formed the title theme song from the Transformers, 1984.
Where are the pillars?
The Pillars on the Moon is a reference to Arthur C. Clarke's short story, The Sentinel. This is quite fitting because the character who built the pillars in this movie is named Sentinel Prime. The O'Reilly Factor was a real show. It was an American cable TV and talk show hosted by Bill O'Reilly. Alan Tudyk's character in this movie is the same exact character he played in the 2000 movie 28 Days. The picture of Agent Simmons in Egypt here is a reference to Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. Part of that movie took place in Egypt.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
This is a reference to a line from the 1995 adventure comedy movie Tommy Boy.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid?
Hatch's roar is the same roar used in Thundercats from 1985. This is a reused scene from the 2005 movie The Island, which also was directed by Michael Bay. Dreads is modeled after Predators from the Predator franchise. Ironhide turns into rust after Sentinel Prime shoots him. This is the same way that Galvatron kills Starscream in the Transformers, the movie.
You gotta read this. She Comes First.
She Comes First is a real book written by Ian Kerner. Megatron uses the Lincoln Memorial as a chair. This is a reference to the episode Atlantis Arise from the Transformers 1984, where Megatron did the same thing.
On Cybertron, we were gods.
This is a reference to how the Transformers franchise was known as Super God Robot Force in Japan. Soundwave's role in this movie is based on Transformers animated. In that series, Soundwave also kept a group of humans under his control. This Decepticon transforms into a watch. This is a reference to the Chronoformers, which is an obscure faction of the Transformers that took the form of watches. The Gulfstream 3 private jet here is actually owned by director Michael Bay in real life. Agent Simmons is in a wheelchair for the rest of the movie. This is a reference to the character Chip Chase from the Transformers 1984. He was a wheelchair-bound human who helped the Autobots, and he was Spike Witwicky's best friend.
You will always be
My friend.
Here's another Star Trek reference. The "my friend" part of that line is from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
You are also my friend.
They're not shipping people. They're shipping their planet here.
The idea of shipping Cybertron to Earth is based on what happened in the Transformers 1984 two-parter called Megatron's Master Plan and three-parter The Ultimate Doom. The Wreckers take on the alternate modes of several NASCAR vehicles. There's Juan Pablo Montoya's number 42 Target, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 Amp Energy, and Jimmy Johnson's number 48 Lowe's. Starscream dies by a bomb exploding in his eye. This is similar to what happened in the comic G.I. Joe vs. Transformers. In that comic, Snake Eyes cut out Starscream's eye and stuck a bomb in it, although that wasn't enough to kill Starscream.
That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Here's one more Star Trek reference. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few is a quote often said by Spock.
That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Cybertron is destroyed, and this causes a black hole inside it. This is a reference to the Unicron trilogy saga. Unicron was destroyed and also formed a black hole inside.
We need a truce.
This is a reference to what happened in Transformers, The Return of Optimus Prime, 1987. Galvatron declared a truce with Optimus Prime. Bumblebee plays the wedding march for Sam and Carly here. This is a reference to how Carly married Spike Witwicky. Well, that's it for this video. Did you notice any more Easter eggs or references that I didn't mention in this video? If so, be sure to tell me in the comments below. Also, what did you think of Transformers Dark of the Moon? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I personally thought it was a lot of fun. I honestly think it's much better than the critics say.
As you can see, Transformers Dark of the Moon is better than Sword Art Online. The action scenes in Dark of the Moon are intense. The explosions are bigger, and the visual effects actually look good, unlike the boring animation in SAO. Plus, Transformers is packed with non-stop excitement, while SAO just drags on with lame storylines and cringy dialogue. If you want real entertainment, skip SAO and watch the Autobots and Decepticons battle it out instead. It's a way more fun ride. If you want another awesome movie directed by Michael Bay, check out Ambulance.
Two thieves steal an ambulance after robbing millions of dollars from a bank. They also take an EMT and an injured cop as hostages. In this video, I'll break down and explain the Ambulance movie. The movie begins in Los Angeles. Veteran Will Sharp calls the hospital. Will's wife needs experimental surgery. It'll cost $231,000, and Will's family doesn't have that kind of money. Insurance won't cover it either. Will goes to meet his adoptive brother, Danny. Will arrives at Danny's garage, and he requests some money. Danny is a lifelong criminal, and he offers Will a spot on his team for a $32 million bank heist. Will declines, but Danny convinces him to change his mind and join the team. We're introduced to EMT Cam Thompson and her partner Scott. Cam rescues a little girl named Lindsay who was in a car accident. Lindsay is driven to the hospital for surgery. Cam and Scott go out for lunch. Scott mentions that Lindsay is going to make it. Scott is new to the job, and Cam gives him some advice. Scott realizes that the rumors about Cam are true. She's the best paramedic in town, but nobody wants to be her partner because of her negative attitude. Danny and his team successfully break into the bank, and they take everyone hostage. A police officer named Zach comes to the bank to ask out the bank teller on a date. Zach Zach realizes that the bank is being robbed. Will holds Zach at gunpoint. Zach's partner Mark is worried when he doesn't respond. Mark sees that the bank is being robbed, and a shootout ensues. The LAPD Special Investigations section arrives. Danny and Will get separated from the rest of their team. Cam and Scott are notified of the bank robbery, and they drive towards the location. The getaway driver is killed along with all the other members of Danny's crew. Zach tries to escape, but he gets shot by Will. Danny and Will leave Zach, but the exit has been surrounded by the police. They're forced to go back inside. Mark finds Zach, and he radios for an ambulance. Cam and Scott come to treat Zach's injuries. They bring him into the ambulance. Cam and Scott drive off, but Will and Danny hijack the ambulance. Scott is forced out and knocked unconscious. Will takes Scott's jacket and he drives away. Danny holds Cam at gunpoint. Police open the back of the ambulance, but Danny hides and Cam convinces the cops to let them go. Cam says that the company tracks the ambulance via satellite. Will removes the tracker. Mark finds Scott and he states what happened. LAPD Special Investigations Section Captain Monroe instructs helicopters to chase after the stolen ambulance. Will drives to an alleyway. He sees that helicopters are pursuing them. Cam tries to escape by blinding Danny and Will with a fire extinguisher. However, Danny is able to quickly react and he holds Cam at gunpoint. Danny forces Cam to get back into the ambulance. Zach starts flatlining and Danny orders Cam to save his life. Will is not happy with Danny since this was supposed to be a simple heist. More helicopters are dispatched to find Will and Danny. Several police cars chase after the ambulance as well. Danny helps Cam use the defibrillator to save Zach's life. Will drives to a dead end. The other police cars don't stop in time and they all crash. Danny calls one of his dad's friends, Poppy. He needs his help to create a diversion and offers to pay $8 million for assistance. Danny calls his garage. He requests the guy to bring a spray gun and blue paint. Cam is running out of fluids for Zach. Will is O negative, which means he is a universal blood donor. Captain Monroe speaks to Danny via the radio. Danny refuses to stop for whatever reason, so Captain Monroe also doesn't pull back his men either. Captain Monroe plans to trap the stolen ambulance and box them in. Mark goes after the stolen ambulance too. Danny is about to shoot Mark, but Cam stops him. Captain Monroe's dog is inside the car that Mark is driving. Captain Monroe pulls his men back since it's too dangerous. Cam finds out that Zach was shot twice. An FBI agent named Anson Clark is put on the case. He used to be a friend of Danny. They went to college together. Danny takes Cam's phone and she calls her boyfriend Colin. He calls some other trauma surgeons and they guide her on how to remove the bullet from Zach's body. Will switches spots with Danny and he drives the ambulance. Will helps Cam perform the surgery. Anson calls Danny and they have a chat. Anson asks who the other guy is, but Danny doesn't tell him. Cam is inexperienced, but she listens to the instructions. Danny has to drive slowly. Zach suddenly wakes up and Will knocks him out. The battery runs out. Cam removes the bullet from Zach's body. Cam tries to talk Will out of this, but he doesn't listen. Danny drives to Poppy. Cam admits that she got addicted to speed and was kicked out of medical school. Colin calls Captain Monroe. He doesn't know if Zach is alive since it's a tough procedure. Captain Monroe assumes that Zach died. Danny has Will drive again. Captain Monroe orders snipers to kill Danny and Will. Anson calls Cam and he warns her about the snipers. He says to stay as low as possible. Cam tells Will and Danny about the snipers. The snipers miss. Danny radios Captain Monroe and asks why he had snipers shoot at them. Captain Monroe admits that it was a mistake due to a miscommunication. Danny starts losing his temper. He's about to shoot Cam, but Will stops him. Danny and Will get into an argument. Cam texts Anson and she reveals that Will is the other bank robber. Will and Danny reconcile. Anson calls Will and he demands him to pull over. Will doesn't listen and he continues driving. Anson realizes that Will is the weak link. Cam performs a blood transfusion and Will transfers some of his blood to Zach. Will's wife, Amy, calls Will. He says that he got the new job and is working today. Amy is proud of Will for being a good example to their son, Tate. Will informs Cam about Amy's surgery, which is the reason why he desperately needs the money. Will and Danny listen to some music together. Will drives to the LA River. Helicopters fly near, but Danny shoots at them. Will drives out of the LA River to the interstate. Will drives the wrong way and on the opposite lane. He causes several car accidents and evades the police. Danny intends for the ambulance to get sprayed with blue paint. However, the guy only has neon green paint. Will and Danny are headed to Boyle Heights, but Captain Monroe knows where they're going and covers all the exits. Danny has his guy drive another ambulance and the police stop him while they escape. Poppy's son Roberto fills an empty ambulance with C4 explosives. He drives it towards the police and detonates the explosives. Roberto runs away, but Mark chases after him. Another car with a machine gun shoots at the police and causes more damage. Captain Monroe is shot and killed. Mark catches up to Roberto and he kills him. Poppy sees what happened on the news and he's very angry. Will and Danny drive to Poppy's hideout. Danny is told that Roberto died. Danny and Will talk with Poppy while Cam and Zach wait in the ambulance. Danny apologizes to Poppy for Roberto's death. He gives him the $8 million as promised. Poppy tells Danny and Will to wait a while, but they can't do that. Poppy responds that it's personal. Zach wakes up and he has a gun under his leg. Poppy demands Danny and Will to leave leave Cam and Zach. Will refuses. Danny talks to Will. He offers to give Will all of the money, but Will doesn't want to leave Cam and Zach since it's over. They've messed up too much, and Will can't leave anyone else behind. Danny asks Will to go, but he doesn't leave. Poppy's men are about to shoot Will, and Danny tries to calm everyone down. Danny and Will kill Poppy and all of his men. Cam takes Zach's gun, and she accidentally shoots Will in the shoulder. Danny drives the ambulance away. Danny orders Cam to save Will's life. Will is fading in and out of consciousness. Danny drives to the hospital, and the police surround the ambulance. Anson radios Danny and tries to talk him down. Danny finds Zach's gun, and Cam reveals that she shot Will. Danny knows that he lost. He plans to kill himself and Cam on live television. Danny opens the ambulance door. Danny urges Anson to pull his men back, but he doesn't do it. Will regains consciousness, and he's forced to shoot Danny in the back to save Cam's life. Will and Danny are both arrested. Danny apologizes to Will, and he dies from his injuries. Danny remembers how he and Will used to play as cowboys. Cam talks to Anson, and she explains what happened. Cam wants to finish the job. She goes back to Will and takes him inside the hospital for surgery. Cam secretly takes some of the stolen money, and she leaves some for Amy. Cam then walks away with the rest of the money. Colin comes to meet her. Cam goes into the hospital, and she checks out Lindsay's file. Zach is questioned by the police. He mentions that Will saved his life. Cam visits Lindsay's room, and she sits by her bedside. Finally, the movie ends with Cam leaving the hospital. And that's the Ambulance movie explained. Ambulance received mixed reviews from critics, but positive reviews from audiences. The movie flopped at the box office, and only made about $51.6 million on a $40 million budget. Which movie or anime should I do next? Leave a suggestion. Check out some of the other videos on this channel.
Additionally, here's another movie from Paramount to watch.
Wonder Park is a 2019 3D computer animated adventure movie. In this video, let's take a look at some Wonder Park Easter eggs and trivia. More than 1,500 people auditioned for the title role of June Bailey. 11-year-old Brianna Densky from Plymouth, Connecticut got the role, and this is also her feature film debut. This movie was originally titled Amusement Park and was directed by Dylan Brown. However, Paramount fired Dylan Brown for inappropriate conduct in January 2018. He was replaced by David Feiss, Claire Kilner, and Robert Iskov as co-directors. They actually didn't direct too much of the movie, so that means Paramount would still have to give credit to Dylan Brown. They didn't want to give any more attention to him, so Paramount decided to credit no one as the director. This is actually the first and only feature film in the history of cinema that doesn't have a director. The amusement park in the movie is called Wonderland. This is based on a real amusement park in Ontario, Canada, called Canada's Wonderland. It was previously owned by Paramount, which is one of the movie's production companies. The main character's name is June. June is also the name of another character in Nickelodeon's other series, Kablam. Banky has a poster of the 1996 movie The Arrival in his room. The Arrival is a science fiction horror movie. It's directed by David Twohy and stars Charlie Sheen in the lead role. It could also be a reference to the 2016 movie Arrival. That movie was also distributed by Paramount Pictures. There's a golden statue of Peanut at the Wonderland Park. This is a reference to the Partners statue at Disneyland. Partners is a 1993 copper statue by Blaine Gibson. It depicts Walt Disney holding the hand of Mickey Mouse, the most popular character he has ever created. One of the chimpanzee zombies is wearing a Bumblebee outfit. This is definitely a reference to the 2018 movie Bumblebee, which was also made by Paramount Pictures. Greta calls Boomer Gandalf. This is a reference to the Lord of the Rings franchise. Gandalf is a wizard and member of the Astari Order. He's also the leader of the Fellowship of the Ring and the Army of the West. The Gandalf reference is even more fitting when you find out that the music for this movie was composed by Stephen Price. He actually worked on the music department for The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers and The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Actor Jeffrey Tambor was originally going to voice Boomer the Bear. However, he was removed from the project for unknown reasons and replaced by Ken Hudson Campbell. In the UK release of the movie, Boomer the Bear is voiced by Tom Baker, who's probably best known for his portrayal of the fourth incarnation of the Doctor in Doctor Who. We learn that the darkness has taken over Wonderland. That's why it's become so desolate and miserable. The darkness definitely reminds me a lot of the It from the 2018 movie A Wrinkle in Time, as well as the novel that the movie is based on. While the characters are standing at the glass platform at the top, Steve mentions that they must reach higher ground. This is a reference to Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. During the fight between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan on Mustafar, Obi-Wan Kenobi was able to finally defeat Anakin Skywalker because he had the higher ground. There's a part where June is controlling a giant mech in order to rebuild Wonderland. This is pretty similar to Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising. In those movies, people control giant mechs as well. Splendiferous is the main catchphrase that most of the characters use. While it may sound made up, this is actually a real word. It simply means splendid. This movie was originally supposed to come out on August 10th, 2018. However, it was pushed back to March 15, 2019 to avoid competition with Disney's Christopher Robin. Ilion Animation Studios did the animation for this movie. They're a Spanish animation studio based in Madrid, Spain. They've also made the movies Planet 51 and Mortadelo and Filemon Mission Implausible. A TV series based on the movie will debut sometime after the movie's release. It's actually the third time that Nickelodeon has made a TV series spin-off for one of their movies. After Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius Genius and Barnyard. There's an official mobile game that came out prior to the movie's release. It's called Wonder Park Magic Rides, and it was created by the game company Pixowl. This is not Kenan Thompson's first Nickelodeon movie. He was also in the 1997 movie Good Burger. Kenan Thompson actually began his acting career as an original cast member of Nickelodeon's sketch comedy series All That. What did you think of Wonder Park? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Also, let me know which is your favorite animated adventure movie.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.